Following a difficult birth, Mr. Brown chose to adopt a dog for his paralyzed son in hopes of improving the situation. A few months after the dog became part of their lives, something happened that left everyone completely stunned. On a sweltering afternoon in a quiet Montana neighborhood, Samuel Brown was a man with a storm raging inside him. His mind churned with worry as he drove toward what he hoped would be a small solution to a mountain of problems. Today was his son's first birthday, and he was determined to get him a gift that meant something. The past year had been brutal, and the idea of throwing an elaborate, animal-themed birthday party for his little boy had faded into impracticality. Instead, Samuel had focused on something more meaningful, something that just might help in a way no medicine ever could: a dog. Friends, family, and even strangers had told him time and again that a pet could change everything for his son. And because he loved Ethan more than life itself, Samuel took those words to heart like a man clinging to a lifeline. The moment he stepped into the animal shelter, a chorus of eager barks and wagging tails greeted him. Tiny paws scratched at cages, wet noses pressed against wire fences. Among them, one dog caught his eye, an English toy terrier with intelligent, curious eyes. Samuel had researched dog breeds and knew this little terrier might be the perfect match. Small, loyal, gentle, and protective. Just the kind of companion Ethan needed. The memory of Ethan's birth still haunted him. That delivery room had fallen silent the second he entered the world. For a brief, chilling moment, Samuel thought he'd lost him. Then came the cry, sharp, loud, and miraculous. He'd rejoiced in that sound, but the relief had been short-lived. The medical staff had whisked Ethan away before either parent could hold him, and the look on the nurses' faces had carved a permanent scar on Samuel's heart. Later, in the cold, impersonal glow of the hospital's waiting room, the truth hit. The doctor had explained that Ethan's spine had been damaged during delivery, crushed inside the birth canal, resulting in a severe injury. The baby's lower body was paralyzed. The odds of him ever walking were dismal, but not impossible. Samuel clung to that sliver of hope like it was oxygen. When the doctors proposed intensive physical therapy, he agreed without hesitation. He would have agreed to anything as long as anyone said there was a chance. But his wife couldn't see the hope. She fell into a deep sorrow, the kind that turns days into shadows. The guilt consumed her, despite being told over and over it wasn't her fault. Postpartum depression took hold, and her connection to Ethan weakened. She could barely bring herself to hold him, much less attend his therapy sessions. Samuel worked long hours to cover the soaring medical bills. That meant she was alone with Ethan for hours each day. He knew his son needed stimulation, interaction, joy. When he brought up the idea of getting a dog, she gave him a vacant shrug. In truth, Samuel hoped the dog might help her too. With the birthday party plans scrapped, he figured there was no better time. Maybe the boundless love of a dog could bring light back into both their lives. When Samuel locked eyes with that tiny terrier, something clicked. The dog seemed to understand. He'd read that the breed was incredibly loyal and affectionate, traits he knew would be essential for Ethan. Some experts believed that the physical play and motivation from an energetic dog could do more for a paralyzed child than therapy alone. Samuel wasn't foolish. He didn't expect a miracle. He didn't believe the dog would teach Ethan to crawl or walk. But if the dog could give Ethan happiness, if it could bring adventure to his still, quiet world, then it was worth everything. He took the terrier home with a hopeful heart. As he drove, questions circled his mind like vultures. Would Ethan be frightened? Would the dog warm to him? Would it all be for nothing? He didn't have the answers, but he had to try. Before going home, he made a quick stop at a local bakery. A birthday wasn't a birthday without a cake, and he knew there was none waiting at home. He picked out a sweet little bow for the terrier too, a cheerful final touch to the surprise. When Samuel walked through the front door, cake in one hand, dog in the other, he was met with a disapproving frown. "Are you serious?" his wife asked. "Now I have to take care of a baby and a dog while you hide in your office all day?" The words stung, but Samuel kept his smile. He knew her pain ran deep. Healing would take time and more therapy sessions than either of them wanted to count. Gently, he explained that their housekeeper would manage the dog's care in the mornings. Samuel would take responsibility for the evening walks. "The dog might keep Ethan entertained," he said, "which means you'd have more time for yourself." She gave a bitter laugh. "You want me to leave our son alone with a strange animal?" "Of course not," he replied, keeping his tone level. "Just watch them while they get used to each other." "He can't play. He can't even crawl," she snapped. "He will," Samuel said softly but firmly. The conversation ended there. She shook her head and took the cake from him while he made his way to Ethan's room. The baby was in his crib, clutching a soft plush toy, babbling to no one. Samuel's heart ached. This child had never even met another kid, had never had a friend. But that was about to change. He scooped Ethan up, kissed him, and carried him to the living room. The little terrier, bow and all, barked gently as they entered. Ethan's eyes widened in delight, his tiny hands reaching forward. Samuel placed him down carefully and sat behind him, giving a short whistle to the dog. The terrier approached with cautious excitement, tail wagging. Ethan extended his hand and patted the dog's head, squealing with pure joy. For a fleeting moment, the room felt lighter. Even Samuel's wife cracked a reluctant smile. Days turned into weeks. The terrier, whom they later named Dash, quickly became a fixture in their home. Samuel handled the dog's morning care, and the housekeeper made sure he was well fed during the day. Samuel's wife remained distant at first, but Dash didn't seem to mind. The little dog was a firecracker of energy, and soon so was Ethan. His laughter filled the house now, and he constantly begged to be placed on the floor to be near Dash. His babbles grew clearer. His curiosity bloomed. Each night when Samuel came home from work, he was greeted by the sound of Ethan's laughter and the sight of his son reaching eagerly for Dash. His heart felt lighter each day. Even his wife began to notice. She reluctantly admitted that getting a dog had been a smart move. With Dash by his side, Ethan no longer needed constant attention, giving her time to rest and focus on herself. Therapy became a routine part of her week again, and her spirits slowly lifted. She grew more affectionate with Ethan, more present. 2 months later, she offered to take Ethan and Dash on a walk around the block. She even suggested the name Dash herself. Things were finally changing in the Brown household, and it was all thanks to one tiny terrier. In the months that followed, the transformation in Ethan was nothing short of miraculous. The little boy who once struggled to lift his arms could now sit on his own and had learned to bounce across the floor on his bum, determined to keep up with his best friend. Dash, always attentive, seemed to understand that his tiny human couldn't run yet, so he waited patiently as Ethan scooted behind him, giggling with delight as they played together. Ethan's physical therapy began showing the progress Samuel had prayed for. His doctor noted that the strength in Ethan's core had caught up to, and even surpassed expectations for his age. His legs were still weak but clearly developing. He couldn't crawl just yet, but there was hope. And it wasn't just Ethan who was changing. Samuel's wife was slowly coming back to life too. Every evening, Samuel returned home to the sight of his wife on the floor with their son and Dash, laughter echoing through the house. The woman who once could barely meet her son's eyes now beamed with joy as they played together. Dash wasn't just a pet. He had become their family's turning point. One day, after another promising appointment, the doctor even told them Ethan had begun flexing his knees. Samuel and his wife cried tears of joy right there in the office. Their little boy, once labeled as a child who might never move, was defying all odds. The doctor explained that Ethan's desire to play and keep up with Dash was working like magic. Fueling his determination, stimulating his muscles and strengthening his spine. He still didn't believe Ethan would walk, but said crawling was now a real possibility. And that day came sooner than anyone expected. Ethan was just 18 months old when Samuel received a call that made his heart skip a beat. Sorry for the interruption. If you've been touched by this story so far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It helps us bring more inspiring stories to you. Back to the story. Samuel had been at work when his phone buzzed with a video call from his wife. She never called during office hours, so he picked up with trembling hands, fearing something was wrong. But all he could hear was her screaming, a string of excited, incomprehensible words. His eyes went to the screen, and what he saw made his knees go weak. Little Ethan was crawling. The boy was giggling wildly, chasing after Dash, who held a ball in his mouth and bounced around playfully, almost as if inviting Ethan to catch him. His little legs were still bent awkwardly, but he was moving, truly moving, and most importantly, he was happy. That evening, Samuel stopped by the bakery once again and brought home another cake. This time, the celebration felt entirely different. Ethan was rolling on the floor, trying to catch Dash, while his wife laughed along with them. Samuel watched them with a full heart, thinking that life truly couldn't get any better. But he was wrong. One peaceful Saturday morning, Samuel sat on the porch enjoying a rare moment of quiet with a book, while Ethan and Dash played inside. By now, Ethan could crawl with ease, and had even managed to kick a ball once, an event his wife swore she'd never forget. They had even celebrated his second birthday with a dog-themed party, dressing Ethan in a little pup costume to match Dash. It was the kind of joyful memory they never imagined having a year before. Samuel and his wife had grown confident in leaving Ethan alone with Dash. The boy's movements were still slow and careful, and Dash had developed a sixth sense for his every need. But that morning, something unusual happened. Dash began barking, loudly and urgently. It wasn't playful barking. It was the kind of bark that pierced the calm and made Samuel instantly put down his book. He called out, but Dash didn't stop. Worried, Samuel got up and tossed a ball toward the living room, thinking the dog just wanted to play. But Dash ignored the ball completely. That's when Samuel knew something was different. He stepped inside the house and followed the sound, and what he saw made the world stop spinning. Ethan was standing. No support, no help, just standing on his own 2 feet, playing with toy soldiers. Samuel had to grab the wall to keep himself from falling. Tears welled in his eyes, and a sob escaped his lips before he could stop it. Ethan looked up and frowned, concerned. "Are you sad, Daddy?" he asked softly. "No, Ethan," Samuel replied through his tears. "Daddy has never been happier." Ethan giggled and went back to his toys, as if standing had been part of his routine all along. Samuel rushed to the bathroom and pounded on the door. His wife emerged in a robe, startled by his expression. Without a word, he pulled her toward the living room. When she saw their son standing, her legs gave way, and she collapsed to the floor in tears. "Mom, you too," Ethan squealed in confusion. Then the impossible happened. "Can you come to me, baby?" she asked, her voice shaking. Ethan hesitated, unsure of what his legs could do. But before doubt could take over, Dash appeared beside him. The terrier gently pressed his body against Ethan's side. The boy placed a hand on the dog's back, using him as a support. Step by wobbly step, Ethan walked. He teetered a bit, almost fell twice, but Dash adjusted his pace, moving in sync, supporting him with every inch forward. And when Ethan finally reached his mother's arms, even Dash let out a triumphant yelp. Samuel stood frozen, overcome with emotion. That tiny terrier he had adopted just 1 year ago had done something even the doctors hadn't dared to hope for. He had taught his son to walk. Samuel picked Dash up and hugged him tight. "I don't know how you did it," he whispered into the dog's fur. "But thank you." Dash wasn't just a pet. He was a miracle. He had given Ethan the courage to try, brought Samuel's wife back to herself, and helped an entire family heal. And from that day on, the Browns knew one thing for certain. Sometimes the smallest dog can make the biggest difference. Did this story warm your heart? Do you believe our animal friends have the power to change lives, maybe even work miracles? We'd love to hear your story in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this one, don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring true stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Paw Prints.